Hello everybody, Dave with Smiles Flies. Today I'm going to be bringing you a sulphur nymph tie, so you can kind of see the how-to. Let you guys see how I tie them. Hopefully it'll help you to be able to tie your own. I do a few different things, but it's not very much different than anybody else. So I'm going to get my hook into my Regal vise here in a second. Right there. There we go. And I like to tilt it up just a little because it'll hold, thread will come off the end of the eye there. Okay. And like I said, I'm using a Regal vise. This is a TFS. This is the Flysmith bobbin. Same with the scissors, the Flysmith. There's that. Yep. And right now I'm going to be building myself up a thread bed. What's a little tip to help you out if it does. Maybe you already know, maybe you don't. Once you get started, you want to keep your thread wraps right up against each other. And if you hold your thread up at an angle and you're wrapping, you wrap back onto the piece you're holding, and it'll make it slide right down against the last wrap, thereby getting a nice smooth, even nice smooth, even thread bed period. Now I don't have to do it that way. I was doing it to show you all, give you guys an idea. I've tied enough that I have pretty decent thread control. Nothing like some of the people you see out there, but decent enough to be able to do what I need to do. And I want to take these wraps the whole way back to, well into the bend. Almost to the very end of the hook where it meets and starts bending back. And the reason for that is because it's going to hold your materials better when you wrap them in. Got something to bite on. Okay, we got that. Now, snip this. That's your tag end. It's gone. And I use a pheasant tail for my tail and for my wing cases and such. I like to pull the fibers all the way out to 90 degrees like that, and then rip them off. Sometimes they don't want to rip like that. Okay, so we're going to come back and do that again. Back to 90 degrees, pull them out. And the reason why I do that is I'll show you when I show you the tips. The tips are already going to be lined up pretty good for you. There's the tips. You see how they're pretty well lined up? That's because of pulling it out 90 degrees. Now I want this to be about the length of the shaft, maybe a little smaller, so I'll do that. Transition it over to the other hand, hold it still. Get a pinch wrap, and then start wrapping back to the same area where I ended the thread bed. And it is going to make your tail go downward a little bit, but it won't make it unnatural because the way the hook is made, the way it's bent, it'll look natural. I am using a curved nymph hook. If you guys are looking for hooks that are decent hooks, Wholesale Flyco sells 100 packs of hooks for $7 a piece, which it's hard to beat because some companies are selling them for 40, 50, 60 bucks of it for 100. And I know they sell them like $9 for 25, so they get pretty darn expensive. They really do. And the Wholesale Flyco, they're not the best hooks in the world, but they are very decent hooks. It's not like they're an A-Rex or Mustad or Gamakatsu, some of the real good hooks. It's not like that, but they are darn good. I like them. I use them I'm a production tire, and I use them in production tie, and I have had no complaints. So now every here and again, what you'll find is you'll find a hook or two out of every 100 that the eye isn't bent the whole way around to make it look like an eye. It's just sticking out, and you can take your pliers or whatever and tweezers, squeeze it together to try to make the eye, but I don't like doing that because I'm afraid then my fishermen are going to have problems, and I don't want to do that. Okay, so now once you got that done, we're back up to the eye. I'm going to grab a piece of what's called D-rib. This should be enough considering I'm only doing about half the nymph, or half the hook in, half the hook will be body, the other half will be the wing case and the thorax of the fly. So tie that in. You don't have to have super close wraps, but you want them to be pretty taut. You don't want to squeeze them to break your thread, but Don't be afraid to get a little tight with it. If you get too tight and it starts breaking, then ease it up a little bit. All right, now we're going to go back up again. I got that tied in. I didn't really have to come back up. It's just a preference thing for me. So I'm going to go back down. I'm not worried about cutting that tag end off because that'll just go in and underneath the fly here soon. Now I'm going to get some dubbing out. And again, this is going to be, like I said, I think I already told you guys, I'm making a sulphur nymph. Which in my area, there's a creek here called Spring Creek here in Pennsylvania. #1 trout fishing stream in Pennsylvania. And 6,000 trout per square mile, and they're all native. And some of the best fishing in the state. Well, yeah, in the United States. We have people come from all over the world for the sulphur hatch. It gets pretty crazy. And I've been tying for that stream for, like I said, on and off for 30 years. Easy. I happened to nail a pattern on sulphur spinners in particular, which is the last stage of the dry flies. Of the sulphur in general, that's the last stage. And I got lucky enough to come up with a really sweet pattern, and the fishermen would not leave me alone. I was always getting orders for them. And when you're building this, you know, like any other fly, you want to build a little bit of a taper, meaning it's going to go from thin to thicker towards the front. And that's because that's the natural body on any fly. Just about. I mean, some of the crustaceans, not really, but, you know, like blue-winged olives and stoneflies and sulphurs and oh so many others. So you get to there, and now you want to put the ribbing in. You know what? I'm going to go a little further. I don't feel as if I came up far enough with the dubbing. So we're going to go a little further. Sorry about the noise with my fingers rubbing together, but couldn't help it. No, we do that. This, come up here. Yeah, I'm going to call that good enough. I could go a little further, but I don't want to. So we're just going to wrap. Got to go nice and easy with this because it's rubber. Right there. Right there. Oh, and by the way, I chose the color tan in the D-rib that I'm using right now because I try to match, you know, the sulphur is pretty much a tan, yellowish color, orangish color. So I'm trying to keep everything, you know, professional as I can. Even colored. Okay, we're going to go there. And there's your segmentation or your ribbing, whatever you may want to call that. I call it the segmentation, which a lot of flies have that. Not all of them do, but I would say 70% of the flies in the water all have segmentation in it. So now that we got that part done, I need to find out what did I do with my... I just had a nice piece of... what did I do with that? Did I throw it over here? Okay, well, I can't find that piece, but that doesn't mean we stop. I've got, oh, there it is. There it is. This stuff right here, y'all, is called gatorback. It used to be called thin skin. THYN, This is from the Fly Smith. If you look at that, you can see one side is very shiny and smooth, and the other side has like a square pattern, very small the whole way through it. It's that side you see now. You want to tie this down so it comes up. So what we do is I like to cut a little bit of an angle, almost a triangle for this. Just like that. Look how smooth that was for those scissors. It was just so easy. So I'm going to set it in there, and I want to put it like that. And then I'm going to grab it with my fingers and wrap it kind of a little bit. Get in there and catch it. Come back to where it meets the body good and tight so there's no separation there. Yeah, I'm going to come back a little further. That's about perfect. which means I'm going to move it up a little bit because I got everything tied in. We're nice and taut, which is good. Now I've got to go back to, I've got to come back to the sulphur color again and get going with that. This time I'm building the thorax up, which is this area right here, obviously. And, well, it may not be obvious for some of you newer tires, but yeah. Anyway, I'm going to get that on there. And I don't mind doing it pretty thick here. I was putting it on real easy to do the body, real thin and real easy because less is more. But up here I need more. So it doesn't hurt to put it on a little bit thicker right here. Lay it on heavy. There we go. So there's that. It may not be enough, but I might be right. I don't know. We'll see. That might be good enough. I got to go back to where the thread met, where I tied in the thin skin. It's now, by the way, it's called gatorback. You can find this at theflysmith.co. Not .com, .co. That's where you can find the scissors, the bobbins, a bunch of materials, and some of the nicest flies you're ever going to see. All right, I'm going to stop right there because I still got to build a head, and I need to have enough room for my what's that called? The gator back. I need room for my gator back. I like to pull that extra stuff out. If it gives you too much of a hard time, you just get in there and a little one of those, and it'll be gone. There we are. Okay. Next step, back to pheasant tails. Again, I'll you guys watch. I pick the amount of fibers I want. I pull them out 90 degrees to the side. Pinch them with my thumb and my finger here, and then I get in here and I grab my, boom, now they come off. And if you look, they're nice and even. Now what I do is I take these, I'm going to turn my vise this way, kind of hold it right here and you tie it right in front of the dubbing that you just finished putting on. Get like 2-3 wraps, and then you want to grab it on this end, you want to pull up this way. Or, yeah, it's pulling up. And the reason why I say that is if you pull it forward or get too carried away, some of the thread you didn't tie it in tight enough yet. And what will happen is it'll make the thread jump out over the eye, and then you've got problems. So now I'm laying in a few tight wraps to make sure it stays. And then this, I want you all to see how close this gets. These scissors will cut that to the body. Get down here. Look at that. You can't even tell. It's crazy how good those scissors are. Anyway, over to this side. Again, grab the fibers I want, the amount I want. Pull them out 90 degrees. And as you can see, they're pretty even right there. Pinch them right off. And now I've got to do the same thing on the other opposite side, which is right here. And I'll pinch it against. I'm taking 2 wraps because I'm not happy with the way it started spreading apart. The nice thing is you can fix anything at this point before you tightly wrap it. It's always a good thing to leave yourself a fail-safe way to get out of things. Now I'm going to build my head up and I'm going to tie this in nice and tight. We're almost to the end of the pattern now. A couple more steps. Now I'm going to take this and I'm going to get as close as I possibly can on purpose. Look at that. Those fibers were there from the last cut. But yeah, it's just, stuff just amazes me. These scissors are badass. Okay, so now we've got everything out to the side. And it doesn't hurt to lick the fingers to help hold it out to the side. Get your mind out of the gutters, fellas. Okay, then we're going to take the thin skin and we're going to build the wing case. Just like that. I like to make sure it's in the center of the resin when I pull it up to here. And then I kind of get there and pinch it. Get in there and get 1, 2, 3 good wraps, and then I lift this up to make sure I've got the eye exposed. And now I just wrap tight, not super tight, tight enough to make sure that it's not going to come apart on me. And I want to build my thread up to about where that meets. And I'll be able to play with that in a minute, and I'm not worried about it right now. But as you'll see when this is done, this makes a beautiful nymph the way I tie them. And I hope that you guys try them and have the same success I've had, because it's not real hard. A lot of people, newer tires especially, won't try certain patterns because, well, they're afraid to mess up. You can't be afraid to mess up. Okay, so I'm at this point now. It's time for me to do a whip finish, which is my whip finishing tool. Come right on there. 1, and you want to wrap backwards. 2, 3, 4, 5. I like to do 5, and then you bring it off. Do that. Pull it up, snap it, and I like to do this to make sure my knot's on good and tight. And then I'll get under there and I'll give it a snip. There it is. Now it's time for me to turn it upside down and get my fibers equal and even to where I want them. And if there's any that are giving me a hard time, well, they get the old snipperoo, like that one. That had to go. And there's one underneath here that's going to give me a hard time. And I don't know if you guys have ever heard of a cautery pen. This here is a hairline cautery pen. I'll take this off. That is the tip, and what that does is that turns bright red, and it burns any extra hairs off, as I will show you. So there's getting red. I got some hairs down here. You can see the smoking going on, so you know it's working. And I'm going to come up top, and I want to hit the sides. I don't want to touch my thread too much, because, you know, you could make your fly fall apart. But there we go. That's perfect. There is no thread over the eye. It's going to be easy to put your leader through. My very last step is you want to use UV Craft resin, is what the company's name right here. And they have it in black and clear for now, as far as I know. I don't know if there's any others. And it comes with a very small brush, so you can get down into the nitty gritty and close details and stuff. Look at that brush. It's really thin, and I'll just take it and I coat the top of the wing case. Get both sides, and then I like to turn it sideways and go on my thread. And I'll use that instead of head cement for now, since I already had to use it. There's no use in using 2 different types of glue. And then I'll hit it and cure it. And that, my friends, my YouTubers, is a sulphur nymph, which I'm going to take it out of the vise and put it in a pair of tweezers and bring it close to the screen so you can see how very nice it did turn out. No, I'm not bragging. I don't do that. It's just I've been blessed. I've tied these so many times. We're talking thousands of them. But that is a sulphur nymph. You can see the ribbing was very even. The tail is about 3/4 the size of the hook, which is just right for the body. These are the wing case that's coming out. This is going to turn into an emerger next, which means all the wings will come out, or all these fibers here will come out of the top, and then that's going to turn into wings after it comes out of the water, and it'll become a dry fly. And then it'll live for a couple of days, in some cases longer, and then the wings will come out to the side and fall, and they become a spinner. And they lay on the water as they die, and they just go downstream, and the trout seem to murder them. Oh, wrong word. They trout really eat them. But anyhow, thank you guys for joining the channel. If you guys like what you're seeing, like it, and please give me a sub. It's free to sub here. I'm trying to get to 1,000 subs. And the reason why is because anything under 1,000 subs, you can only have 25 people in your chat. And they can't comment. Once you hit 1,000, you can have as many as you want, and people can comment, and I like to interact with my audience. So I'm trying to build this channel up, and I would love your help. Thank you guys very much. God bless you. Have a good day.